If you can't guess, I'm reviewing Superman. Thank you first off to Warner Brothers for the invitation to screen the film and for the goodies, because I do love the shirt. It's a Superman, classic Superman shirt and a cape and everything. Like, come on, I had to wear it for the review. But look, I have been a fan since I was a kid. When I was, anywhere from 3 or 4 all the way up to about 10, I was a big fan. I had a t-shirt I put on and wore like a cape, and I was into everything, and I love the original film. And my question will always be, can we ever get a film as good as that or even better? I think it's a big ask. I did have a lot of hope for this film. I still have a lot of love for this film coming out of it, but it is not a perfect film, and it's not exactly the Superman movie I was hoping for, but it is really cool, and there's a lot to talk about. So, for starters, this is a classic Superman. This isn't dark and brooding, gonna maybe kill someone Superman. This is the classic Superman. And David Corenswet is really amazing in the role. He has the heart, he has the quips, he's kind of funny. He's dashing and yet a little nerdy, maybe a lot nerdy. And there's a lot of good stuff there. I really did think he's fantastic. Alongside Rachel Brosnahan, she's really a perfect Lois Lane. Maybe my favorite Lois Lane yet. I say that with caution because I've actually loved all the Lois Lanes, but I do think she brings something unique to it, a different drive and fire. That's a tough thing to say. The original film was a classic, everything else, but Rachel is really great in this role, and the chemistry with this Superman, they're great together. There's a little fire and ice there. It's complicated. It's not a simple relationship. I really dug that. And that's exactly where this film succeeds. The characters are phenomenal. I loved every character on screen. There wasn't a bad moment with the characters. Lex Luthor, you got to be really ballsy to pull off a Lex Luthor. And, this film has a great Lex Luthor. I will talk about the script shortly. That's my one caution here. But, you've got to have a good Lex Luthor, and this film has it. So Nicholas Hoult is the more domineering style of Lex Luthor, the kind of Lex Luthor you kind of hope for, that he's obviously smart, he's obviously driven, and everything else. And we're starting the story partway through. I'm going to get to that in a minute too. But he is a great Lex Luthor. I wish the script had met him partway in the middle there, though, because I do feel like while the characterization, the performance are amazing, I do think the drive and his reasoning in this film could be a lot better. I think that's where this film falls short. So, talking about the story, we start the film partway through events. There's something already happening, and we meet up with Superman, and basically, if you've seen that clip that was on YouTube, that's the start of the film, basically. And I don't love that. I get the premise, I get the reasoning. Didn't quite work for me. It certainly gets us invested in the Superman early on, maybe, and there's a lot of other benefits. But it does feel like an incomplete story. And that's my biggest complaint, is that there's a lot of stuff happening, but it's kind of messy and all over the place, and we don't get a complete story. We get a lot of introductions. We get a lot of things that maybe are going to pay off. Maybe in, a few years when we get a couple more films, Superman, Batman, other stuff, hopefully coming soon, then maybe this is going to pay off. And I think that is a big deal. And I'm looking forward to a complete DC, film universe, because I think that's been not something that they've been able to pull off yet. So if they can do it, I'm really excited for that, because I want to see more. But as it stands, this film, it's beautiful. It's moving. The characters are nice. I really enjoyed some of the set pieces, some of the action sequences. There's a lot of good stuff here. And relationship-wise, it all works. But it the story is not complete. And I did get, I will admit, I'm a mature man here. I will admit that I got teary a couple moments. There's the very first second of the film that starts out, there's a hit of the classic Superman music, and that got me. And there were a couple other scenes that really got me because it's classic, heartfelt, meaningful, good guy Superman. That's really cool to see again. I've missed that. I know why the films got away from it. I don't fault any of the previous films really necessarily for doing something different, especially in the aging of comic book movies and how things have changed over the years. But I really did miss classic Superman, and to see him here and see him do his thing, and the immigrant story, the finding yourself story for a superhero, in the middle of, he's already a hero, he's already established everything else, but this story does kind of have him finding himself and who he really is and what he stands for. Those are cool things too. And I kind of even get shivers just talking about some of it, because what we get in this film really is special. And I don't think it's a perfect, complete package, but I enjoyed it enough to say, go see it. Go in with tempered expectations, maybe, but definitely consider seeing it if you're at all a fan, especially of classic Superman. A chance for DC to come back around and do something new. I really look forward to the future here, because I think this is the Superman I want to see a lot more of, and I think a lot of fans will too. Maybe this is the dad thing, being an older guy. I'm of course invested in that, but I do think younger audiences will find this appealing, because we've had years of dark and gritty superheroes. And look, I adore Wolverine. I'm a pretty big Deadpool fan, all the rest, but having a bit of this throwback to classic era comics, and definitely more of a comic book movie than we've seen necessarily in a while, classic comic book movie. That's cool to see. I'm not gonna talk down about this film, because I do think it succeeds in a lot of ways that we haven't seen. And, James Gunn as director here, he did something special, and I think he's a good caretaker for this character and the universe. So I want him to succeed. I want to see more. And if you want to see more Superman, you want to see more of the DC and everything else, this is the film to support, because it's going to help build that universe out, that we get more, and we give them another chance, basically, by supporting this film. And especially considering not every actor here is an A-list actor. We've got actually quite a cool mix of actors, and friends of James Gunn have shown up. You get a few great performances there. But overall, cool to see what they're building. So I want to see more. I hope you'll agree. Let me know in the comments once you've seen the film what you think of it. I'd love to hear your reaction, when you do go see it, because I'd like to have that conversation, see what other people think. It's going to be very interesting to see once this opens, how everything performs, where the cards land, and enjoy the film. Let me know what you think, and thank you very much for watching.